In the lessons that we're going to be um, viewing, I use a lot of shortcuts. And I know when I've watched other people's lessons and I've seen them do something very quickly, and I've really wanted to know how that works. So I'm just going to share a couple of them. Sometimes when I need to build a new sheet, I just type sheets.new in a blank URL and in a blank tab. And I get a brand new spreadsheet, which I could then name. I'm going to call this one shortcuts. And one of the things that a brand new sheet has, we probably all know, is it has 1,000 rows and it has 26 columns, A to Z. Oftentimes I don't want to use all these, so and if I inadvertently scroll across my mouse, I find myself scrolling where I don't want to go. So often, if I think I don't need any extra columns, I'll select one column, and then on a Mac, I'll do a Command Shift right arrow. That selects the rest of those columns, and I can simply then delete. And alternatively, the same thing is true if I use the select a row. I don't want all these extra rows. I would do a Command Shift down, and again be able to right click and delete my rows. So now I have a sheet that's not going to have too many columns and too many rows. Also, what's true is if I am in a cell and I hit the down arrow key, of course I just go up and down, but if I hit the Command down arrow key, I go to the bottom. Command up arrow takes me to the top, and Command Shift down selects everything from where I'm starting down. And then if I hit the right arrow key, I could quickly select everything. I use those shortcuts all the time. They're very handy. So it's true this way. Also, Command Shift left or Command Shift right, Command Shift down, Command Shift up. Very handy, and I find myself using those particular shortcuts all the time. They really do save quite a bit of time. A couple of other shortcuts that I use really often is the locking ranges. So in this case, I've typed a formula. Really what I would do normally is just do A2 and B2, and I would hit enter. Sometimes I want that cell reference locked, and on a Mac I'd press the function key and my F4 key, and if I continued to press the function F4, you can see it rotates through no cell reference, open cell reference, to locking it column and row, locking it row, locking it column. In this case, I want to, and I just have to put the cursor in that formula part there, and then I can lock that. The other thing I like to do is to, I could copy this formula down, but I've locked A2 and B2, so that's not going to work, so let me undo that. So what I'd rather do is A2 colon A. I'm going to include this to include all of the rows in this column. And then I think I'll go back in here and repeat my function F4, and I want to get that completely locked. And then same thing here. In this case, I'll just lock B and I'll lock A. And then if I hit enter, that doesn't really change the formula, but if I wrap this in an array formula, shortcut for that on a Mac is Command Shift Enter. Now it's an array formula, and now when I hit enter, the one formula, I don't have to copy it down and it'll keep working. So if I add, Larry Bird, that formula is going to work for me automatically because I have this set up as an array formula, including when I look at this, I'm choosing the entire column. Sometimes we want to use an array formula, and we'll find that it doesn't work with certain formulas. So if we want to do, in this case, equals sum of A and B, or E and F, that works. And if we try to wrap that in an array formula, we don't get anything, and we still don't get anything if we say E2 colon E to F2 colon F. And that's because the sum is not an E2E comma F2 colon F. In that case, it's adding up all of those. So that's really not what we want. We can make this work, however, if we don't use the sum. The sum function doesn't really work that way with a array formula, but we could trick this, and we could say if E2 colon E plus F2 colon F, actually we could just do, if we can just leave out the if. Array formula E2 colon E F2 colon F, and that actually works. So we can get away from that with the array formula. And again, let me just quickly demonstrate if I hadn't put that array formula. E2E plus F2F. Okay, that works. Command Shift Enter wraps it in an array formula. Now the only thing I don't like, and this happens sometimes, in this case I have these zeros I don't want. Sometimes array formulas will create an NA. In that case we can wrap it with an if error. In this case I'm going to wrap this array formula with an if statement. And I'm going to say if this value here, E2E plus F2F is equal to 0, which is what we see it is down below, my true value of that would be to do nothing, and my false value of that would be to go ahead and add E2E plus F2 colon F. And if I hit the enter there, now notice 2 plus 1 is 3, 5 plus 3 is 8, 7 plus 3 is 10, so forth. I could add a value here, 5 and 87, and I get 92. So now I have a single array formula that is summing some columns for me. So again, the shortcut is to add an array formula. Again, if I were to remove this array formula, I still can get that 3 there, but with one formula I can just hit Command Shift Enter. That in my formula, Command Shift Enter adds an array formula, and now it works. So those are a couple of other shortcuts I like to use all the time: lock cell references and array formula. And so then finally, my last shortcut I use very frequently is obviously copy. In this case, if I were to copy this data, let's say that I were to copy this and come over here and paste it. Basically, it's just repeating that array formula. It's a formula, and if I tried to do something here and type something there, it's going to break my formula. So in that case, what I really need to do is copy this, and then I need to I could go to Edit, Paste, Values Only. Notice that's Command Shift V. So the shortcut is Command Shift V. Now notice John Smith is not a formula. John Smith is a formula. So very quickly, copy and Command Shift V to get rid of the formulas if you're trying to work with some text that's created with formulas and you just want to have text or numbers. Have it just be the values.